Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
I'm very pleased to be joined by our good friend Mark Wogenrich. Welcome back, sir. It's always a pleasure.
It's my pleasure as well. I got to go before Trace and Grant Haley. Come on. That's not even a great warm-up back there for those two.
Come on. No, this is like Cheers leading into Wings back in the old NBC days. Huh?
No, but thank you.
I mean, take it. Just take it, okay?
That's what I said. Yeah, I will take that. But those are gems. I can't wait to hear Grant.
Grant
as
will be
a
great
Rams
tomorrow.
fan still celebrating, I cannot wait to listen to that.
That must be something. That must be something for anybody who's a Rams fan to go through it, because as the Los Angeles Rams, they've never won.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you, just from the fan point of view, to watch that 15-play drive?
It was terrifying because I had really no anticipation that was going to happen. But in the back of my mind, I thought, they haven't gone on that kind of drive this postseason, but they had made stuff happen, whether it be against Tampa and San Francisco. They had offense, right place, right time. But with the players who were on the field, even at Rams, and I'm looking at some of these receivers going, I got nothing. What you're putting out there is terrifying me. Please throw to Cooper Kupp, and then just hopefully they lose track of him or something. Get a break or two, and it was, it was really disarming. I wanted them just to run sneaks 4 times from the one, and when when Stafford dropped back to kind of throw that back shoulder thing to Kupp, I went, no. Okay, yes.
I've been okay because of who he was throwing it to, but Cooper Kupp is a great example. You and I, you probably follow recruiting closer than I do. I mean, I follow it enough, but this is a no-star guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wanted him. That's what makes it remarkable, is that when he went to college, Eastern Washington was it.
Right, exactly. At the individual level, that makes recruiting really fascinating to watch. Was when you get guys like that who jump out and really become successful despite a low star rating. Now, from the team collective, the team perspective, populating with talent, of course, you're going to have a better chance. But that in those individual recruiting stories, I mean, what was Aaron Donald? Really, was he wasn't. I don't think he was a real super high end guy. I could be wrong about that.
No, he wasn't.
But I like those that individual level recruiting story that doesn't that where you can still say, look, you can be a success. Your road might be more difficult, but you can really make it. Yeah.
Well, speaking of success, and you can make it on last particular night, Penn State found success. Seth Lundy and John Harrah. What were your thoughts watching that play out last night?
The play that really stuck out to me was John Harrah's putback, the 3-point play in the last minute or so. Actually, I saw a clip of that again today, and maybe I didn't realize it at the time, but just kind of watching a game, as opposed to really focusing on there. He was 1-on-4 on that play. Penn State's 4 guys, and Micah Shrewsberry kind of mentioned it after the game, and that we were kind of pushing 4 guys back in transition, just letting John go up there and get beat up and beat other people up, and take his punishment and come back, because we knew he was going to get that effort. He was 1-on-4 on that play, got his own rebound, and turned it into a 3-point play that was really, really decisive at that moment. And I felt like maybe Tom Izzo referenced that in a roundabout way of just saying we got out efforted last, in this game. And that really was so significant to me. It was just, John Harrah is that guy. Again, he is not from a generation of basketball pedigree, but you know exactly what you are going to get from him, and you got it last night beyond, I think.
It's interesting because Micah had told me before the game what they wanted to do because of what happened at East Lansing. He said, look, we can't be beaten on the break anymore. So he said, look, we'll send John in. We'll let the other four guys go back. So in the pregame show, we mentioned that that's what they wanted to do. Well, we're looking at the stats, and John keeps getting offensive rebounds. Dick and I are looking at each other. He's sort of doing this by himself in a lot of ways. And that was the remarkable part of it, was that against what normally is a very good rebounding team, he got 16 boards.
Yeah, and 6 of them on offense, right?
Yeah,
and
6 of them on the offensive end.
And that one, and again, he was 1-on-4. There's really that. But you saw the Michigan State guys kind of standing around him a little bit, and John was in there mixing. And that more than anything, that really struck me.
You see style of play, and I asked Mike in the pregame show this. I said, we all talk about being able to set the pace of a game. Everybody thinks it's offensively. Can you set it defensively? I felt last night at both ends of the floor, Penn State set the pace of the game. They forced Michigan State to even play slow offensively.
And he mentioned that after the game. One of the things I really like about listening to Micah Shrewsberry is the way he can disseminate information in a real, just natural, understandable, kind of legible way for us lay people who just don't have a lot of basketball lingo to back up with. I will listen to him, and he can break down something very easily and let you understand. I think he did it, he did it really well in discussing his issue with the fouls and the free throws during the Big Ten season, and specifically over like the last week in those 3 games, in talking about the style that Penn State plays, and maybe it's not conducive to getting a ton of fouls called on the opponent, but still, maybe our style is just that people don't quite understand it who are calling games. And I think he made that point really well, after the game, in saying that we wanted to slow them down, that transition game, in East Lansing. So we were going to slow them down, I think he said, to a crawl. And if he does that really well just in his media appearances and like on the radio show and with us, I can imagine when he's using more advanced language with his team, it really seems to be getting through. And I think that's probably a real hallmark of a coach, in that he can straddle those lines in discussing, his philosophy and his approach and his X's and O's, and meet all audience needs. That's really, to me, that's what I'm extrapolating the part about him getting across to his players as well as he kind of gets across to the media. But I got to believe that it is working out that way, because I've heard the players say, they've bought in, and I heard Mike himself say, the guys, they've bought into what I'm telling.
Yeah, and you can tell. I mean, I'm there. I see it. So
yeah,
and they absolutely are doing that. The other guy I want to talk about, though, is Seth Lundy, and I said early in the broadcast last night, I said, Dick, they need to get this guy going offensively, which means he's got to get himself going offensively. But his defense, there were a couple of possessions last night, Mark, where he switched off and on one possession had 3 different guys on switches and handled all 3 guys. To me, that's been the hallmark of what he's become, a really good defensive player to go with his offensive ability.
Yeah, I think you're getting the defense with him, right? But he talked about it after the game too, in that returning from the injury, maybe he had a little lack of confidence in his physical ability, which maybe hurt him in the attack mode. So he said, I think, I pulled up the quote. He said, our managers just tell me to shoot. When he was kind of like, getting back, he would just go out and shoot. And that's his mentality. And again, the end of that game, he made a big shot off of a, who else? Offensive rebound from John Hara. That second half to me is, if they could put together halves like that it's so hard to do. But you put together halves like that where you have the belief, coupled with the execution, win a couple of extra games down the stretch, maybe get a little enlivened, get a little juice going into the Big Ten tournament. I don't know. Could it mean an upset in there somewhere? And it's also the bigger thing that they weren't, they didn't get overwhelmed and then they didn't get deflated, having lost the last three. That game, you're down 14 in the second half, and you're down 14 after your coach gets the technical, too. I mean, it wasn't like 14. That was that moment where it spun everything around. They still, I think Michigan State still scored maybe 6 of the next 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Took it from 8 to 14. So it wasn't immediate. So you're down 14 at home to Michigan State. That's a pivot point. I mean, at that point, you're looking at, potentially could we lose 4 in a row, and then we've just let it slip. And no matter how hard we play, these results keep happening. So to turn that into a win, I felt like that was a very important way for them to play last night, but to finish it out too with a win has to be a confidence boost.
I want to shift gears for a moment because the Big Ten athletic directors have been meeting, and they've been talking about what to do with a variety of issues, including scheduling. Mm-hmm. And one of them is whether to stay at 8 or 9, and it sounds at the moment the lean is 9, which if they are, that means this alliance thing is going by the boards. If that is the scenario, what are your thoughts?
If the alliance doesn't turn up to be what they advertise it to be, I think I would be disappointed.
Yeah, in other words,
yeah, that's a great game to me. That is a great additional game. I like the idea of an 8-game schedule. And I think that the athletic director at Iowa had done an interview with the Athletic a couple of weeks ago, and just, kind of, throwing out, maybe just kind of tossing out the line into the water and see who bites on it about pulling back from the divisions. And then maybe you're going to go pod scheduling, and you're going to have, protected rivalries, things like that. You play a couple, and then you rotate. I like that. I think that would probably. I think that would benefit more teams and more teams being able to get in contention of the Big Ten to win the Big Ten from that East Division right now, because I forget the number, but it's 6 in a row, 5-6 in a row.
Well, it's all of them.
Yeah.
The East has won every one of them.
Yeah, that's right. And since they went East-West, it was Wisconsin won as I can't even remember which legend or leader they were in. So.
I'm with you. I'm like whatever.
Yeah, I like the 8+1 of the Alliance game. I just always like the idea of playing that intersectional game with either the ACC or the Pac-12. And I like an 8. I think there's more evenness to it. A 4-4 of not having the 5-4 home road thing, because that can be that probably complicates scheduling too, because then you're trying not to schedule teams to play 3 road games, or hopefully you're not getting them to play Ohio State and Michigan back to back, or Wisconsin Iowa back to back on the road, things like that. They're probably just better scheduling in that respect too, of maybe being a little more even-handed with that. So I would prefer 8 and then the +1 of the Alliance game.
Well, it's always great to talk with you. Great perspective as always. Always enjoy it. Always the perfect lead-in. Mark, thank you so much.
Spring practice, Steve. Thanks so much.
See you, Sal. We'll talk again soon. Thanks so much.
Yeah, good deal.